Welcome to the video on floorboard fun. I want to start off by saying that I severely underestimated the amount of time it would take to accomplish this part of the build. It looks simple, right? Trim the floorboards, drill some holes, put the screws in, and call it a day. What I did not realize was how much time and effort it would take to drill through 4130 steel tabs, how many holes you would have to drill in each tab, and what a pain it would be to find Tinnerman clips that actually fit properly. The floorboards came from the factory pre-cut. Other builders had mentioned that there was quite a bit of cutting and shaping of the floorboards that needed to be done. In my kit, number 75, the floorboards pretty much fit like a glove. There were only a few areas that I needed to take a little bit of material off so that it would sit flush onto the tabs. Since it was such a small amount of material, I used a set of aviation shears and cleaned it up with a file and some sandpaper. After trimming the floorboards to size, the next step was to drill pilot holes with a number 40 drill bit in all 60 tabs. This is where I think a little more clarification from the manuals would have helped. In both the legacy Bearhawk manuals and the newer text manuals, there's no mention of where exactly to drill the pilot holes. Since the tabs are about a 1/2 inch by 1 inch rectangles, it made the most sense to me to just put the hole in the center of the tab. Not knowing any better, that's what I did. After marking and center punching each tab, I proceeded to drill pilot holes. Even when using ample amounts of cutting fluid and a very slow drill speed, I still went through about 6 drill bits to get through the 60 tabs. The steel is extremely hard, and even with the fluid and slow rotation of the drill bit, the bits still heated up really quickly. The high quality cobalt drill bits were no match for the steel. Once the first 60 holes were drilled, we then upsized all the holes to first a number 30 size and then again to a number 19, the final size needed for the number 8 sheet metal screws. After drilling the first 180 holes, we dry fit the boards in place and clamped them where we wanted them to be. From underneath the floorboards, we mass drilled the floorboards to the number 19 hole previously drilled in the tabs. Be careful when doing this. We thought we had clamped the floorboards as hard as we could, and still we had a little bit of movement on a couple of the boards that could have been avoided with stronger clamps and maybe a little more patience. We then took the floorboards over to the bench grinder where we deburred all the edges with a silicone carbide deburring wheel. The most popular wheel to buy would be the ridiculously expensive 3M silicone carbide wheel. After I did a little bit of research, I discovered that 3M makes the same wheel under a generic name called ProGrad, and they sell it on Amazon for half the cost, so that's the route we went with. We deburred the top and bottom of all the floorboards, and I was really impressed with the quality of the knockoff wheel. It performed way better than expected. The finished product was a nice clean edge, and we'll be using this on lots of other material further in the project. So just to recap, we've drilled 240 holes so far. Earlier in the video, I mentioned it would have been helpful to know where to drill the pilot holes to begin with. This is where the problem showed itself. When installing Tinnerman clips, the hole in the tab needs to be drilled out to a minimum of 7 30-second hole size in order for the dimple of the clip to fit. After drilling 60 more tabs, we realized that 7 30-seconds left too much distance from the edge of the tab for the Tinnerman clip to fit. Even after reordering the largest and longest Tinnerman clips we could find for number 8 screw, we were still too far away from the edge of the tab to fit. This meant we had to upsize the tabs again to first a 1/4 inch, still not large enough, and then finally to a 17/64 hole size. The final drill count being 360 holes we drilled into the 4130 tabs. The lesson here is don't make the mistake that I did and do not drill your pilot holes in the center of the tabs. They need to be drilled much closer to the forward edge of the tabs. I would recommend using a Tinnerman clip as a template to drill the tabs, a step that I highly regret not taking in the first place. Before we can put everything back together, we deburred all the holes and slid on the Tinnerman clips in place. The hardware callout instructs the builder to use a number 6 sheet metal screw and nut plates to attach the floorboards. The benefit of the nut plate is that they will never move and they are a more permanent solution. The downside is that they are significantly more time consuming to attach. It seemed like using Tenderman clips was going to be significantly easier and less time consuming. If I would have drilled the pilot holes in the correct spot, this would have been a very simple task that didn't take more than a few hours. I ended up with over 12 hours involved in these floorboards alone. When it was all said and done, the floorboards came out really nice, and I'm happy with them. I was able to correct my mistakes, and no harm was done. Hopefully, somebody else will watch this video and be able to learn from my mistakes and not repeat the same thing.